Alrighty, I'm here with my good friend Michael McMillan, the president of Financialize. Now, what's cool about Financialize, we have been using them personally for I think a little over 8 years now. It's one of
Yeah.
the best annuity lead sources out there because they are phone verified. Somebody goes to the site, they fill out information, they know it's about an annuity, then a third party calls them, Financialize calls them and says, look, do you want to speak with a real person that is going to talk to you about annuities and how they can benefit you? If that person says, yes, I do, we get the lead. And that's the best part because most of the other marketing channels out there to, solicit annuities, it's always indirect. A social security workshop, a Roth conversion workshop, or learn more about retirement income. It's not straight up, hey, look, you are looking for an annuity. This person is an annuity expert. They're going to help you. It cuts out a lot of time. And we've really enjoyed using these leads, and we have been purchasing them for over 8 years now, and they work. And I've told many of you who have been on multiple calls of mine or my training calls, I've talked about phone verified leads and how important they are to incorporate within your practice. Even though the majority of business that we write is from workshops, we still max out our annuity lead volume as much as that we possibly can as people fill it out, because we get a great rate of return on it. And it helps us because in the seminar business, you're going to have good months, slow months. You want to have something else that's consistently running through, i.e., phone verified leads. And it has saved our butts in times that were rough with seminars. And it's the consistent, steady Eddie. We have people that fill it out on Christmas Day. And our team, depending on what's going on that day, we'll probably call them. Okay. Like, hey, look, it's Christmas. I'm with the family. Just got the information. You got to hop on these fast. So I'm really excited for Michael to share a little bit about his background, what he's doing with Financialize, and the new changes ahead and what they're doing and how they're going to be much different than any other lead provider and marketing organization out there. Before we get into it, also keep in mind, Financialize is not an IMO, it's not an FMO, it's not a BGA. They simply provide quality marketing, quality leads, and some additional services, and they work with multiple IMOs. So in order to work with them, you don't have to be on our team or any particular team. It's completely neutral within the industry. So without further ado, Michael, I'm going to let you take over now.
No, definitely, Roy. I appreciate you and thanks for having me, man. Yeah, it's been a great ride here at Financialize, and I think you just hit on such an important topic, which is a lot of Financialize's success is the fact that we get to work like Switzerland, and then we engage with every IMO, FMO, BGA out there, even some of the captives, and it allows for us to be able to work with all those different agents so we can actually understand what's really happening in the market. And that's really, when I took over as president of the company back in May of this year, one of the things that I instilled immediately into the company was what we call our North Star, which is if it's good for the agents, it's good for us. And our North Star metric is what guides the company from beginning to end. And the reason I did that was, I was an agent, right? I should just say I still am an agent. I still
Yeah.
do write some business. And so, having been on that receiving end of leads and or working it and working with clients directly, what we focus on is beyond just even calling the customer and knowing that they're interested, is really verifying, okay, are you ready for this, right? We have what we call our 5 points of verification, which is not just how much are you looking to invest, but what is the status of that money? Is it liquid? And what does liquid mean? So if you're looking at doing a 401k rollover, okay, great. But are you 59 and a half, or is that with your
Right.
current employer or past employer? What is those source of funds? So that way, when an agent gets them, like you said, they can actually move on it and they can have a real
Right.
conversation with the person and know what they're actually doing. And that's what I feel is so critical, and it was missing in the space. And that's where we really, and Financialize has been doing that for almost 20 years now, actually just over 20
Wow.
years.
That's
And
crazy.
so, and I mean, you're talking about right now on average, we're handling between anywhere from 15 to 22,000 leads a month that we're weeding through, and about 24 to 26% of those are the only ones that we actually pass through to agents. I mean, just to give you some clarity on like how much volume we weed through to make sure we get the best leads down to the agents that we work with.
That's a lot of filtering. And that's important too, because
Yeah.
a lot of agents out there, we've all tried multiple different lead sources and everyone's trying to promise the world, right? A lot of them, they all, and here's what I always say, they all work at some level, right?
Yeah,
It's how
yeah,
hard do you want to work them? It's like, we go back to the Glenn Ross movie. The leads aren't weak, you're weak, right?
exactly.
And so the more filtering that you can have, the more prepared that person is to actually have a conversation and a
Yep.
time frame on it. Because some of the other lead sources, it's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I'm 32 years old, I'm still working, but when I'm 70, I'm going to call you. It's like, okay, dude, I'll probably be dead by now or retired. I don't know. That's crazy. So, having that filter there, so that way when the agent is investing this into their practice, they get that lead information, they're going to have a much higher opportunity of success. Now, not all of them are going to work out. People do change their mind. That happens.
Yep.
But the majority of them, at least in our personal practice, we're getting great rates of return. We're not helping every single one of them, but we're helping well over 50% of all the leads that come through with some level of business. And it's just been amazing for us. And we're so appreciative to have a system like that. And that's why I'm so excited to have you on here. That way, you can help share this information. And by the way, for you listening here, I don't get a kickback if you buy a lead from Michael, nothing like that. I'm simply doing this because on this show and on our trainings, we only share information with vetted people, people that are actually real, and that stuff that we have actually personally used. Like I have probably spent, I don't know, probably well over $100,000, probably a lot more with Financialize over the years. And there's a reason why I personally keep spending that money because I'm getting a much higher rate of return than what I'm actually spending.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's the name of the game. And I think, Roy, you hit on two strong points, which is right, is that one is that, agents in general, and not even just agents, but salespeople in general, if you look at the stats, especially in the insurance industry, the last one we just got recently was that about 83 to about 86% of agents will stop at 2 attempts on a lead, right?
Wow.
But when you look at the actual data, to get an actual, around 90% of all leads require 5 touches or 5 attempts to even get in touch with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at our data, right, and our internal side, so we, mind you, like you said at the beginning of the show, is that we are already generating the lead. These people are going to our websites and our landing pages and our forms and filling this thing out. But on average, it takes us between 11 and 13 phone attempts to get them on the phone. And
Whoa.
on top of that, and mind you, that's not all we're doing, right? You're also talking probably about another 8 to 11 emails, probably about 6 to 8 text messages that have gone out, plus social media retargeting.
Mm.
That's just to get them on a phone to verify them. And
Wow.
so there's a lot involved in this. And that's why we tell agents when you get it, you got to remember the golden times, right? From the moment it hits your, text or your phone or your email, the first 60 seconds are those magic minute. And then after that, you
Yeah.
got 4 more minutes on top, total of 5 minutes complete. After that, your chances of connecting on that transfer go down by an exponential rate.
True.
And from there, but even with that said, even with agents who are slow and don't get on top of them, we've maintained within the first 60 to 90 days of a lead being transferred, we're typically at our agents are averaging anywhere from 26 to high end around 34% conversion rates. And
Wow.
then if you expand that out over a year from the moment of receiving, it's actually closer to around 80 to 90% conversions if they continue to work them. And that's a lot of the reason why we saw what our top producers were doing. And it's why we started expanding into additional services to help all of our agents receive that kind of conversions.
I think you brought up a really good point there too. A lot of agents are short-sighted. I talk about
Yeah.
this for the seminar program too. If I buy a lead from Financialize and I receive that lead and I'm not able to get a hold of them, I'm not going to quit after 2 times. In fact, some
Yeah.
of the things that we do that everyone can take notes on this, we use Loom, which is just a video recording little software, and it automatically compresses the file. We do an immediate phone call, a text message, an email, and when we're texting and emailing, we're dropping that Loom video in and we're customizing it because people just get bombarded with robocalls. And if you can say, hey, Michael, this is Roy calling on behalf of, annuities.com, .net, whatever you want to say. you can go ahead and use that and say, hey, look, you filled out our form online. You spoke with
Yeah.
Sally, because on the Financialize leads, it actually has a representative. So what we say is like, hey, you spoke with our assistant Sally regarding annuity rates. We're happy to help you. Just wanted to put, I'm a real person, not a robocall. And then we get so many calls back from like, oh, thank God you did that video for me because we were so unsure, blah, blah, blah. But the other point there that you hit on is the long-term effect of this. You have to look at the lifetime value of some of these leads that come through. Because if they're not ready at the moment, a lot of our business, to your point, like we may close a deal this week on a Financialize lead we bought a year ago, 2 years
Mhm.
ago, 3 years ago. I'm working on a case right now for a $300,000 rollover that they filled out a lead online with Financialize, never went anywhere. They went on, they subscribed to our website, they unsubscribed, and then they came to a workshop, and then they filled out another lead. And it's like, okay, the frequency illusion here of you being absolutely everywhere and staying on top of them, this is how you close that business. I mean, on any
Absolutely.
given year, we roll between $3 to $5 million in additional annuity premium from people that weren't ready at the time, but we kept staying on top of it. And it's not that challenging. It's not like you're going to get 100 Financialized leads in a month, right? You can stay on top of it, send out a custom newsletter, do a couple Loom videos, bring up relevant topics, all of that stuff to really truly work these leads. And you can't quit short. A lot of agents will say, I'm going to buy 3 or 4 if they work, great. If not, they're not going to work at all. We have had times where we've bought batches of 10 that have come through, and 7 of them we couldn't ever get a hold of. But those 3 that we did over $1 million in rollover premium. Totally worth it.
Yep.
But other times, like right now, this time of the year is probably, in my opinion, one of the better times to get into it, because every lead that's coming through, they're showing a very high level of intent, and we're moving premium right now with all of these leads coming in. So it's been really good
Yeah.
for us.
No, absolutely. And I mean, and on that front, right, Roy, is I mean, that's a lot of the reason. So, one of the things we launched actually just a few months ago was our new system called Lead Revival. And the reason we did that was exactly what you mentioned, though, is keeping on top of those leads. And not every agent, and we got it. That's the reason we launched that system was because we knew not every agent could actually have the infrastructure or the manpower to be able to keep up with those leads.
Yeah, it's hard.
And it's very tough, and it's not the easiest thing to set up. You need to, there's a lot of infrastructure that goes involved with that. And when I had originally done it for my agency, and we had set it up and spent a significant amount of money on doing it, and even our results compared to the results that we were generating here at Financialize, we weren't nowhere near. And so when we set up Lead Revival, the idea was simple, which is, and it still is, it's let agents upload their lead list. We work it on their behalf with their brand and give them back their leads once we can revive them. And the results have been incredible. I mean, honestly, we've got agents already we're seeing minimally around 19 to around 23% on the minimum of engagement within inside of the month,
Wow.
and those leads are converting into some big dollars in annuity premium and or life or LTC or reverse mortgage even somehow I got into. But it's for our agents who have those leads and are sitting on those databases, to your point. We get asked all the time is like, well, Michael, I've got all these leads, and I want to afford Financialize. How do I get going? And I tell them all, I said, if you've got leads, start there. Don't buy my leads right now. Let me buy my own leads. Get started with Lead Revival. Get yourself some premium underneath your belt. Get yourself some commissions. Take 20, 30% of that, then start buying fresh and
Gotcha.
focus on your core business. And that's what I tell agents constantly is you don't have to be a marketer. You need to go find a partner who is a great marketer and do what you need to be doing best, which is the core business of any insurance person is how do you work in that seat, right? We'll go back to that Glengarry Glen Ross comment, right?
Yeah.
ABC, right? Always be closing, right?
Yeah.
And how you do it is when you're sitting in the chair, when you're at that table, how do you perform? Perfect that skill. Perfect your ability to pitch and to be able to present product and solutions and be creative and bring in people who are experts at the rest of it and bring them around you, and you'll now have a scalable business.
That's a really good point too. I like that transparency because basically, if these agents already have leads, they can use Lead Revival to
Hmm.
get that going, and then they close some business from that. Then they start investing into these high quality annuity driven leads, because a lot of agents. I mean, I'm guilty of this too. I am not a technology person. Like me setting up this iPhone for Zoom is like impressive, okay? And I still have challenges with it. And
Yeah.
most agents, they don't have a CRM, they don't have a marketing system, they have sticky notes and maybe a spreadsheet. And it's so easy to be like, ah, I just don't have time to call this person, or I don't have the time to follow up. And if you're trying to do it all yourself without any automation, then what you run into is this overload and burnout. Then you start questioning yourself, like, is it really worth the time to follow up? Is it really worth the time to do this? But if you can have a marketing partner, such as yourself, that has a system that's built that can drip on these leads to get them re-engaged and then to actually get some business from it, that's awesome, because you have to think of it from a business perspective. It's like if you want somebody to do that, you're looking at paying somebody $4,000 to $5,000 a month at minimum, plus training, plus software expenses. It's very
Absolutely.
expensive, and you've already have the infrastructure and you have built that. Just look at, we use Zoom, okay? Why do I just create my own video program? Why? Because Zoom's already done it. I'm just going to pay Zoom to do it, and it's very
Yeah.
inexpensive. The same theory here on working these old leads. Or even if you have a current book of business that's not necessarily focused on annuities, you can do some marketing there, put those into the lead revival program to get them re-engaged and let them know, hey, look, I actually offer this line of service too.
Oh yeah, that's exactly it. And then for our new guys, for the guys who are just getting started, because like I remember when I first got my license, and it's what probably what most agents are. When you first get that license, you're hungry and
Yeah.
you just want to talk to people, and you're like,
Yes.
where do I start? And what's the training we all told, right? Oh, go talk to your whole family. Well, we of course
Hmm.
do that, but then you run out of that pretty quickly,
Yeah.
or you make very awkward Thanksgiving and Christmases, right?
Yeah. Who wants to buy an annuity after we say great?
Yeah. All you old people, give me your retirement fundings. But
Yeah.
you know, the the solution that I was always looking for was some affordable leads that I could at least get in front of.
Yeah.
And that's where with Financialize, beyond our high-end leads, we also have our marketplace. And the marketplace is where we tell agents constantly, and we have so many amazing stories from this of go in there, toss a couple $100 of leads at it, because with us, you don't pay for anything until you buy a lead, and they're all exclusive anyway. So they're all still one-to-one. But
Yes.
you can get leads, like we've got some aged leads in there that, are like $10, right?
Yeah.
And you can go buy them and get started. Are they going to take some effort? Yeah, it's not going to be easy.
That's
But
why they're
guess
10
what?
bucks. But you know what? They work. We've actually closed a $200,000 rollover from one of those auction leads that
Yeah,
we were bidding up, and it was like 25 bucks. And we closed 100,000. It's like, okay, cool. So we made around $7,000 in revenue for a $25 lead. It's awesome.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the practical way to get started. I mean, we've got an agent in Florida who started with us about 6, 7 years ago. And he always tells the story to everybody. He's like, when I started, I had $500 on a credit card that I could spend.
Wow.
And he talked to our head of agent success, Mark, and Mark told him, he goes, listen, buy up some auction and marketplace leads and get started. From that first $500 investment, he ended up, some of them were just little things, 25K rollovers or, 50K rollovers, which is still a couple grand, right? But he ended up landing a client who misrepresented on how much he had to invest and had got some additional funding, ended up getting about $1 million policy. And he listened to our suggestion, which we told him, take 20 to 30% of that commission and put it right back in. And he
Yeah.
did. He started buying our premium, our higher end, our priority, and our hot leads. We just found out he's about to close up his year this year, and he did just a hair under 14 million of annuity premium
Whoa.
just this year alone.
That's awesome.
And he's diversified himself. He's doing seminars. He's doing multiple lead providers, which is what we tell everyone to do. Diversify yourself.
Sure.
But it all began on that $500 investment in marketplace and auction leads that he got his whole business started. And took him some time to do it, but it gave him that steady flow. And that's the critical part. Like we tell agents, just get yourself an opportunity to be at bat. And that's
Yeah.
where that begins.
And I think a lot of agents too, when they're most agents that are getting into the annuity space, they don't just get their license and be like, all right, I'm going to be a full-time annuity.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. I've never actually seen somebody do that and become successful. I'm not saying it's not possible. I just haven't personally seen it. Usually it's like, I'm going to start selling some life insurance, get some revenues, because that's pretty straightforward. You pay, you die, the insurance company pays. All right.
Yep.
Or Medicare, right? People say, I sell Medicare. Well, are you really selling? Not really. You're helping them enroll into an option. And you just say, here's Advantage versus Supplement, and here's the
Oh, yeah.
alphabet soup. Here you go. Which one do you want? I'll be the order taker. We'll get you submitted. I'm easier to talk to than going through, the government website. But when they go to buy leads, a lot of these leads, if you're buying final expense or even life insurance leads, they're anywhere between $20 to $150 on average. They're relatively inexpensive. And so agents are used to that. But what I always try to remind agents of, it's like, think about it in a business world perspective. If you have an opportunity to make multiple digit commissions, 7, 10, 50, $100,000 per transaction, do you really think that the lead source that you're buying it from, you're going to get quality leads at $100 a lead? It's not going to happen. Now, there are those auction leads that you can try with. I'm just saying, like, in the bigger picture, for true filtered leads that you want to invest into your practice, it's going to cost money. But let's say you bought 10 leads at $500 each. Okay, so you spent 5 grand over the course of time. Let's say you only closed 3 of them, and your average premium was just 200,000 in annuity rollover, or just say 100,000, right? That's 21,000 on average in gross revenue from selling 300 grand out of those 10 leads, and you spent 5 grand. Where else? If you asked anybody in the business world, you went to a university and said, look, if you could spend 5 grand and make 21,000, is that a good business deal? The answer is an outstanding yes. So I think agents get a little shell shocked too about different pricing of leads, but you get what you pay for. You can
Absolutely.
buy a stripped down 1997 Honda Accord with crank windows, right? Or you can buy the brand new Lexus or Mercedes, right? Obviously, that's going to be nicer and going to do better for you, okay? So you get what you pay for in life and especially in this business. So agents need to be delegating some of their top line revenue to marketing. In fact, I think we're pretty heavy in the marketing side. Out of our entire top line, we actually reinvest back in for the purposes of lead acquisition, seminars, everything else, nearly 35% of our total
Yep.
revenues every year right back into it. But that has allowed us to double, quadruple, and keep growing and scaling.
Absolutely. And that is the key to it. And to your point on the life side, and I mean that's why we have life insurance leads as well. And we sometimes don't even talk enough about it, is that you're
Yeah,
right though. I mean, when I started, I was and most people I would tell most people, I'm a life guy even still to this day. I love
me
writing
too.
life. I
I don't like the
honestly it's
underwriting, but I like life insurance.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, underwriting's fascinating, but it's such a great program. I mean, you're really helping people and families. I mean, because I always tell every agent, once you deliver your first death check, you fully
Yeah,
understand why you're in this industry. And
very true.
right now, we're facing such an interesting time in this industry because you're talking about now we're already a year in. So 60% of this industry is still due to die or retire now within 4 years, right? So last year was 5, now we're talking 4 years. The sheer volume of seniored agents who are leaving this space is incredible.
Yeah.
And next gen is coming in slowly, but they're coming in and they're facing a knowledge gap, right? But the bigger problem is they're also facing an interesting world of agents. Like I spoke to an agent just was it 2 days ago, who he's now working his father's book of business, and he's working with the third generation of the family, and it's a wealthy family, right? A lot of these families were very wealthy because he was AUM mostly,
Yeah.
but he's retiring in 2 years, and he doesn't have kids in the industry. And I'm like, so
Wow.
what happens? He's like, that's a great question. And so this industry, the whole space has got a huge opportunity. And that's what I keep telling people constantly is like, now is the time to get in because you've got so many orphan accounts that are being created every
Yeah.
day out there. And that's where things like our lead revival program, our general leads program are able to at least find those people for you because they're desperately looking for help.
Oh yeah.
And and also on top of what you said is this month, December is such a critical month. This right now, the second back half of December is when the magic happens for high performing agents. I mean, that's why actually tomorrow and Saturday, we're running our 25% off special on our marketplace leads. So where we give a huge discount to let every agent, because we tell them now's when you front load. Like if you really want to make an
Yes.
incredible splash, invest now. And So that way your January set up for success because come January, if you have hair unlike us, you're just going to be on fire. We burned ours off in some other past January.
Yes, that's very true. And then, it's a good point. You want to front, like, that's why I did a workshop this week. People are like, why would you do a
Yeah.
workshop like right before Christmas? Blah, blah, blah. Because I want to set myself up for success. I've been in the business long enough to know like most agents are just lollygagging in December and then they struggle for the first quarter. I'm going
Yeah.
to front load everything. Like we're taking advantage of that marketplace. We're going to buy as many as we possibly can. And then that way we have something to be following up through the holiday season. And as soon as it's all over with, the second week of January, boom, reality's back in check. Okay. That's when we hit it hard. And we have our first quarter is usually one of our better quarters because we front load so hard during these holiday seasons. So, Michael, if somebody wants to learn more and aging out here and they want to explore this opportunity and grow their practice, what's the best way for them to get in touch with your team?
Yeah. So for the lead side of it, you just go to financialize.com. Right in there on the website, you can't miss it. It says, get started. And I
Okay.
encourage every agent, even if you're just not even sure about it, sign up. It costs you nothing. That's the thing I think most agents miss with Financialize is we literally charge zero to sign up and get into our system. And
Wow.
once you're signed up, you put in, you're going to create your account, you get everything set up. You can take a look and start looking at our marketplace and auction. And if you want something, buy it. If you
Yeah.
don't, don't. It
Yeah.
doesn't cost you anything,
Right.
but it gets you visibility into what's possible. And then if you're interested in the lead revival side and you're sitting on leads, we have a special website, which is myleadrevival.com. And
Mm,
you can go there, read all about it, see the videos, see information on it. And then you can schedule time with our lead revival team. It's a special team with inside of our organization,
awesome.
which will meet with you. We do have weekly webinars that we go through all this with as well and
Ah,
walk you directly through actually how lead revival works. Because it's definitely a different type of program because it's direct engagement on your brand. So that's
yeah.
where I tell people to go. But no matter what, if I were to give anybody is get on Financialize, get signed up, and look and really see what's possible for your business in the next year.
Awesome. Well, hey, Michael, thank you so much. Again, if you're an agent out here listening to it, we're going to put some of these links in the description. Also, the link to our annual conference where you can learn more.
Yeah.
Michael will be speaking there again about Financialize this upcoming year. So we're super excited about that. And also, if you're a consumer watching this, we have a whole consumer website to help you out as well. So you can click the links below. And again, Michael, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. And, we want these agents to be successful across the country because one of the biggest lacks in this industry is training. And so
Yeah.
we try to do our best to provide that and also give agents quality lead sources where they don't have to sniff around and spend and waste tons of money on stuff that doesn't work. Because I've already done all that. I'm trying to save everyone else money, believe me. I've done things the wrong way for a long time and we got it halfway figured out and it's working well for us. So, anyways, thanks so much everyone for watching this and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Roy.